I think we're gonna get started, so I can get you guys, opportunity to ask some questions at the end if you like and so on. Obviously, this is the first time we've done this. This is, I guess, my second January actually employed by the district, so, I thought at this point in time, there's a lot of things that are kinda going on. We're making some changes. I wanna kinda give you an update of where things are at. And then, we have, somebody that I need to kinda introduce, I guess, make sure everybody's familiar with what has gone on and what changes are going on in the district office. So, with that said, then, this is the State of the District address. There's no need to, you know, keep your applause to the end or whatever, you know, no booing if you're Republican or Democrat or whatever, so. The first thing we need to do is introduce our new Director of Finance or Finance Director. You can use either term when you address her. Lynn Lingford, if you'd stand up, Lynn. This is our new Director of Finance. Lynn is an Auburndale resident. What is it, about a 2-block walk?
Yes, about 2 blocks.
Lives closer than I do even, so. She's a certified public accountant, been that way for how many years, Lynn?
Since 2006.
Since 2006, worked at the Marshfield Clinic for a while, then went to the Portage Healthcare Center, and then we lured her away, brought her back home where she belongs. She's also the village Auburndale clerk, so again, the last 7 days has been a whirlwind. I'm sure she feels it's like getting a drink of water out of a fire hydrant, because it just comes at you in a hurry. It's just a lot of stuff, but I know she's excited. We're excited about having her. We're really excited, district office. It's one more person we can throw papers at, so, but again, welcome, Lynn.
Do we want to put her on camera so people can see?
Yeah, maybe you should come down here, Lynn, so people can see you. I'm recording this, just so they can see.
Put a face to it.
Lynn Lingford. She's worried it's gonna make her say some words, but. One thing that came on a strategic plan that we had last fall, or I guess 2 falls ago, the community kind of thought it'd be kind of nice to showcase some faculty or showcase some employees and so on. I know some schools do it through the website or Facebook, and then it's kind of open up to comments and people that want comments and so on. So I thought that what we would do is control how that gets pushed out. In other words, we're gonna do it just one way, right? Just a blurb, it just comes from us to the community. So I brought to the culture committee, I used myself as a guinea pig. Courtney made it look good, everything but the picture anyway. And it's just got random questions. It's not necessarily about education, but I want to try to feature 4 employees every district mirror, so 16 a year. 1 secondary teacher, 1 elementary teacher, 1 para, and 1 support staff. Okay? I will approach you. It will be a template. You can answer the questions, and then your participation is voluntary, and it's not a requirement for employment. Okay? So, with that said, who's my elementary volunteer to be included in the March mirror? If not, I'm gonna approach you, so.
Pick one that's gonna retire.
Yeah. Secretary? One paraprofessional, aide?
Diane.
Yeah. And support staff, custodial cook,
Dan.
secretary. Oh, I know where they are, I'll find them. And again, it's optional, but like I said, it's just something I think the community, sometimes they don't know who we have and who we don't have working, and they might find some, you know, some tidbits in there about you. Just again, try to build that communication between us and them. Okay, calendar. I think the AEA has all seen the calendar. Is that correct? Or the AEA leadership team has? Has that been shared all? Say again? All the membership has seen it, okay? And I proposed this at the Community Coffee Clutch this morning, and I said, one of the things you're gonna see next year is we're gonna do late starts Wednesday. And their first reaction was, what about our community coffee? What is that gonna be?
Yeah,
Which, I never thought of that, being a Wednesday. But the question was why? Why do we have to do this? Okay? And trust me, it's something that I know there's no such thing as a minor change. All change is drastic. It's like having minor surgery. No, surgery is surgery. It's unnatural, right? A schedule change is gonna be something that's dramatic for our community. But I feel as though we're at that point in time now, we have to do it. These are the reasons why. We got a standards-based report cards in an elementary school, and I believe you guys are meeting how often? Once a month? Once every 2 months? In the summer, right? I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going that we just cannot do because we don't have common time in the elementary school. Secondary teachers, I don't know if you're aware of the elementary schedule, I'm gonna tell you, all the first grade teachers, except for one, can meet at the same time. And it's never this one, they're always exchanging, doing recess duty, or all the kindergartner teachers, or all the second grade. There is never time in the day a first grade teacher can meet with a second grade teacher, or the first grade team can meet with a second grade team. It does not exist in the current schedule that they have at the elementary. The rotations do not match up. Second reason, Act 20. I'm assuming secondary doesn't know what Act 20 is. Does an elementary teacher want to explain Act 20? Preferably a K1, 2, 3, or reading specialist?
It's a nightmare, how much is that?
Act 20 is also known as a third grade reading test. The governor, the state sign it in. All students must be able to read by third grade, and they need to have reading plans that are sequentially stepped from kindergarten to first, to second, to third grade. If they don't pass it by third grade, then it extends into fourth grade. If they don't pass it by third grade, there's an opportunity to retain those students because they cannot read. That's Act 20. I just told you it involves K, 1, 2, and 3. If they don't have time to meet during the school day, there is no way they can develop a plan, there's no way they can sample, and there's no way they can intervene when they need to. It's not gonna happen. It's gonna be impossible to do. Third thing, a curriculum review of standards, collaboration, which were identified in a strategic plan 2 falls ago, okay? When is the last time the elementary has dug into their curriculum? Probably CKLA, right? Bridges, you've done some of that. Do you know what they're doing above and below you? Kind of, you're all, maybe, maybe not, right? When's the last time you looked at the state standards as it relates to your curriculum? I know the high school is starting to do it. They started last year and they continue it this year, right? But we need to have time to do that. And then this one here, the fourth one, the scope and sequence discussions. When was the last time 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers sat in the same room and looked at what you're doing? Are we talking weeks? Months? Years? Don't you think that's kind of important? Right? So we don't hear the 6th grade teachers, what did they learn in 5th grade? They should have known that. Right? Or 6th grade, what are they doing? Right? We need to be able to have those discussions. Now there's models out there. We could use the Marshfield model. Marshfield, every Wednesday, the teachers work from 7:30 to 4:30. Okay? That's their normal day. Every Wednesday, they have collaboration from 3 to 4:30 every day on Wednesday, or every Wednesday. Okay? I don't want to do that model because it pushes everything back on Wednesday. Practices start at 4:30 and so on. Everything is shut down because teachers are going to be there. We could use a Pittsville model. They have early dismissal. They let everybody out at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, okay? And then students or parents come and get their children at 2 o'clock. Or they just turn the kids loose. The parents aren't gonna come and get them. I'm not fond of that model because we have a small village of Auburndale. If we dismiss at 2, early dismissal, and have teachers collaborate from 2 to 3:30, then I'm concerned that what am I gonna do for those junior high kids for an hour and a half when they're running around the village of Auburndale? That's my concern. The late start option is being utilized right now by Abbotsford. It's a model that I'm familiar with. It would be a 7:30 to 8:40, or 7:30 to 8:45 collaboration time every Wednesday. We would run buses 1 hour late. Buildings will open at 8:15 for breakfast, and so on. And then on those days, in my article in the District Mirror, when this gets pushed out, I'm gonna encourage parents, if you got appointments, ortho, doctor, dentist, whatever, schedule them suckers Wednesday morning, because your kids are gonna miss less school. So those, I guess, again, this is, we discussed it, we proposed it. If you've got a better idea for us to meet these expectations, because we haven't done it in God knows how many years, 15 years in this district, and you got a better schedule, we can meet these things, share it with me. And I'll try to make it happen.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I know this affects me and it may affect some others. I've got 2 kids that are
Yep.
over enrolled in the district. How do can I bring them early?
Absolutely.
And they, they're 2 responsible children, I don't have
Absolutely.
mine. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work for me.
Nope, absolutely. Yep. And I realize there's gonna be some times that it's just not gonna work. We'll work around that. And I know that some other people have addressed that same thing to me, other staff members, so. Okay,
When is breakfast gonna be served, just for medication?
when is what?
Breakfast gonna be served, so I have to give medication?
Yep, same time.
At 7:40?
No, building's not open at 7:40.
8:15 to 8:40?
Yep. Yep. All right, let's talk a little bit about the budget. Where we're at, because this is the big stuff, right? We get about 50% of our revenues from the state, about 40% from local, and 10% from federal grants. The budget we adopted in October was $330,000 in the red. Okay? Meaning that we knew our expenses, or we anticipated our expenses at that time were gonna be $330,000 more than the revenues we were gonna get to run the school year. We knew we started in the hole, $330,000. Why were we short? Well, here's the big one. Our classroom requisitions that you guys filled out last March and April and you turned in were $140,000 more than they were the previous year, or a 31% increase. 31% more. That's a lot. We had increased staffing costs. We had some young staff leave and replaced them with veteran staff who cost more money. We had some of those staff that left that were not on the insurance plan. The new staff that came in took the insurance plan. That's $25,000 hit to the district. So those costs were unexpected. We have increased supervision costs. We've got another person sitting at the scoring table. We had 3 home football games. Those all have to be paid for through supervision. Lily Leon was here. We paid her. Wish I could still pay her, but she's gone, so we can't. Aid for virtual speech and language services. We had to get a speech and language pathologist virtually, but then we had to hire an aide to sit in the room with the kids when it was going on. Double the expense. Increased special education staffing. I believe we added a paraprofessional special education aide. Again, things that were beyond the budget that was originally proposed. Here's the good news though. By November, remember October, we approved it. By November, we were $61,000 in the red. In January, we're $21,000. You see what we're doing? We're closing the gap. Where are we saving and what has changed? Thank God it's been the winter we've had. That's all I'm gonna say. Heating costs, electrical costs, well, not electrical, because buildings are open with lights on, it seems like 12 to 14 hours a day right now, including Saturdays and Sundays. But snow plowing, snow removal, gasoline, overtime for those stewards. We've got 5 custodians right now rather than 6, and we've been running that way. We ran that way most of the summer, and we ran that way for the first 2 months of the school year. Ran with a part-time business manager for the first semester. We've got increased interest rates, okay? And you've got a fund balance around $4 million, and you leave that, as much as you can of that, in the bank at the time, and if interest rates go from 2% to 5 or 6%, it starts to add up in a hurry. And again, that was not what we anticipated, but we aren't gonna deny that amount. What has changed? And I'll tell you, as you look at those numbers coming down, and I did a deep study of this, here's what's changed. The budgets you completed last spring were for this year, for supplies to be used during the 23-24 school year to educate your students, or that you're gonna use in your classroom. Don't purchase materials for next year from this year's budget. You're gonna get new budget sheets. One of the big misconceptions I think all educators have, and I had it when I was a teacher myself, God, I requisitioned $8,000 for my classroom, and I'm only gonna spend $2,000. If I only spend $2,000, you know what they're gonna give me next year? $2,000. That's not the case, right? Each year you get a new budget, because I know there's sometimes you're budgeting for something, new teachers, if you put it down, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a good chance you're gonna get what you asked for, okay? So if you're a new teacher and you say, I need all this stuff, and it costs $14,000, you're probably gonna get it. But you're probably not gonna get $14,000 the next year unless you need materials that are worth $14,000. My point being, if you are not gonna use it this year, and we are in February, so you're telling me anything you order from this point on, you're gonna use in March, April, or May, order it and I'll approve it. If you're not using it in March, April, or May, don't put it on there, because I'm gonna deny it. Does everybody understand that? Yes? Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you the cram job in school finance, because I think you need to understand the big picture to see where we're all at. How is it important to budget for the next year? We get equalization aid, state aid, arrives in September, December, March, and June. Our aid this year is $7,223,257. That's what the state's given us to fund education. We get 15% of that in September. We get 25% of that in December, 25% in March, and 35% in June. Anybody have a calculator on? Take 7,223,257 times 0.15 and tell me how much money we got in September. $900,000. $900,000, and that's what we got. January, February, March. Nice spring months. August, by the way, this payment we get from the state, that goes on last year's budget. So my point being, our calendar starts July, August, September, October, November, December. 6 months. In those 6 months, how much money, how much aid have we received? 40%. You see why you gotta, can you imagine living in your household like that? You get paid 4 times a year, but you gotta spread it out over 12 months. That's what we're trying to do with our budget, school-wise. That's what Lynn has to try to figure out. Somebody stop her if she tries to run out of here, okay? The budget for this year begins July 1st, approved in October based upon what we believe revenues, expenses will be. This time received approximately 33%. That's the total, but we've gotten 40% of our state aid at this point. So we're 58% of our way through our year, right? January is the 7th out of 12 months. We got 58% through, and we've only gotten 33%. So somebody says, well, geez, you got $4 million in fund balance. You got plenty of money. We could just take a little here and there. Sure, you know how much money our fund balance was down to in December? Mike and Kayla, you know, because you sit in the finance committee. Under $400,000. So it goes from $4 million to $400,000 before we started getting money back in, and then it goes back up to $4 million again. Okay, so don't somebody tell you, well, geez, this district has $4 million fund balance. Because if you run out of that $4 million, then you have to short-term borrow to make payroll. That's not a good thing to do. Am I right?
We don't wanna do that.
We don't want to do that, exactly. You don't want to do that when you run your own household. We don't want to do that as a school district. That's just not good finance. I'm gonna bet you this is probably the same slogan you have in your house, isn't it? We dread surprise expenses. Oh, furnace. Oh, my car. Right? Oh, a roof. Right? A flood damage. Right? You dread the things you don't anticipate. Right? But we also celebrate those unexpected revenues. You get your tax man back and he says, man, you overpaid your taxes. Here's $25,000. Great job. You guys didn't hear that from your tax man? Oh, I must be the only one, huh? Right? So when I say I'm gonna deny it, or if you say, God, Mr. Yeske, he's in a bad mood, he wouldn't let me do it. You know why? Because to me, if it's not budgeted for, it's one of them dreaded ones, right? And I love it when I get that thing, hey, your E-rate's been approved, or your AGR's been approved, here's $80,000. Right? Our workman comp claim was low, here's $65,000. Those are big, we celebrate, right? The dread ones, we don't. So what does next year look like? Well, you guys heard of the ESSER, right? Educational, secondary, schools, emergency relief money, whatever. We're gonna spend $412,000 in our federal revenue this year that we aren't gonna have next year. It's gone, okay? This is the last year you have. So $412,000 less. But, that's the bad. This is better. The low revenue ceiling increased from $11,000 to $11,325 per student next year. That is approximately 780 times 200, or 11,325 is about $250,000. Last year we were spending $10,468. Remember, we failed the referendum. They were going to freeze us. We got ticked off, and we argued and complained and bitched, and they moved us to 11,000. That was good. Next year they're putting us to 11,325. You think, well, that's awesome. This money, but realize that 11,000 to 11,325 is only 3%. What's CPI? 4. Right? So, well, thanks for the extra money, but it's only 3%. Right? It's not going to cover our costs. But I still like saying 412 is harder to make up than the difference between 412 and 250. Right? We're only that much short. The key is students. Students are money. Every time one walks in that we didn't expect, $11,325 right there. Right? Students are money. We want students. We want students. We like resident students, but we'll take open enrollees too. Resident students, we get $11,325 for. An open enrolled student, we get about $9,000 for each one that comes in, and we lose about $9,000 for each one that goes out. The resident district keeps about the 2,300, somewhere in that range. And that's a sliding scale, and I think that's accurate, is it not, Casey? Yeah, pretty close, 89, something like that, just 9 sounds better. The school district of Auburndale is plus 50. We have 50 more coming in than we have going out. So 50 times 9,000, that's $450,000.
Where do
Okay.
RVA students fit into the?
RVA are ours. They're ours. Yeah, there are our residents, okay? The district goal should be 60 students per grade level. That's what we want our district to be at. Now, why am I telling you all this? To understand, to see the big picture, you know, I want you to understand this, the details. We base our budget on 780 students. If we have 780, we know we can maintain staffing. We know we can maintain programming. 780 is our target, okay? We would love to have 780 residents, but if we can't get 780 residents, give us 780, okay? 780, 60 times 13 grades is 780. Currently, we have 5 classes with 54 to 58 students per grade level, and 8 classes have 60 to 66 students per grade level. That is 780 students. When I look ahead, it's 780 students. Okay? We're solid. You don't want to get caught in declining enrollment. Okay? We don't want to get to that point. We have to try to maintain where we're at. This is what's scary though. We have 9 classes that have 47 to 58 residents. And we have 5 classes that have 61 to 66 students that are residents. When I sent out the pre-K questionnaires, we have 38 3-year-olds that are going to be eligible residents for 4K next year. 38. That means we need 22 open enrollees to get to 60, doesn't it? Or we better get families to start moving in with 3-year-olds, or some of you young people. Right? It's important to realize we can run a budget and we can base a budget when we know the enrollment. Kids are money. We need kids. No money is designated to schools through state or federal revenues for buildings or maintenance. That's all a local decision. Small amounts can be budgeted for or included in capital improvement plans. And again, I just wrote large items, generally those in excess of $500,000, $500,000 will require a referendum. Okay? We've got some items like that right now, right? District-wide, financially, we're fine for a year, all right? Programming, I'm not concerned about that at all. We've got 3 retirees. If class size we need, we'll have money, we can replace 3. We've got a mental health coordinator that is funded by ESSER monies. I'm not worried, we can absorb that, right? We've got enough flexibility in our schedule. I'm not concerned with any of that. I'm not concerned with any of that. We're fine, okay? I am concerned, however, when we start getting outside of maintenance, these large items. I'll give you some examples. We have roofs. We have a 1993 junior high school roof, a 1998 elementary wings, kindergarten, the Tim Anderson gym, and the library. Lisa, do you have any showers in your room today? Lisa Berg?
No.
None today. Good. That's awesome. You guys are aware that Lisa's desk is positioned, or was positioned underneath a hole that, what, 3-4 dimes? Yeah. Our roofs are starting to fail. If you get 25 years out of a roof, you're delighted in your house. We're getting 27 now. We're on borrowed time. Our junior high is way overdue for a new roof. It's only $600,000 to do the roofs. We got a track that we put in 1998. Okay? That's a 25 years, 26-year track. It's got an asphalt surface. You know what happens to asphalt 25 years? hot, cold, it cracks. And you can't fill it anymore. And you gotta put a rubber surface on it. Track is supposed to last 25 years, the asphalt. The rubber surface, 8 to 10 years. We have the original asphalt surface, and we've got the second rubber surface on it. We're on borrowed time. If you go out on the track, you'll see it's down to asphalt. It's worn out. It's in bad shape. That's only 800,000. The elementary, we got the bid to redo these 4K bathrooms, give her these temporary walls, put outlets in them. You laugh. Office spaces, lounge, and air handler on the roof, that's only a measly 1.4 million. Secondary building. Jen, you're teaching in a room that's got tiles from 1960. Cabinets from 1960, pipes from 1960s. Yeah. Another, I mean, another 30 years and that can be that could be a national monument. Right? It could be registered.
You don't call me a national.
And then we've got the original boilers, right? The original furnace, 25 years we've gotten out of that thing. That's probably $1 million, give or take. You add all those together, you're looking $3.8, $4 million. 25 years ago, the constituents of this community made a decision, we are gonna build these wings in this elementary. We are gonna put on a new gymnasium and a library. And then we made that commitment to do that. I'm assuming, figuring it lasts us 25 years, the next people are gonna have to make that same commitment to make sure it stays nice. We're getting close to that gauge. We're at that point. So I'm not saying we're going to referendum for this, but I'm saying we need to study it because it's here. And I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be cheaper this year than next year. And next year is gonna be cheaper than it is gonna be the following year, and so on. Again, not designed to scare anybody. This is just to stay where we're at. And if you wanna talk really big items, how about some school community spaces? Because we got some issues. We got some issues. I'm gonna have 30 high school wrestlers next year out, and I'm pretty convinced I'm gonna have 30 high school wrestlers. That space upstairs, you can hold 20, and that's tight. So my wrestlers probably aren't gonna be up in that wrestling room, which means they're gonna need to go to another space. It may be a gym, which then takes my junior high out of a gym, which takes my 3rd and 4th graders out of a spot, and takes my 5th and 6th graders out of a spot, and everything gets pushed back to 9 at night. Or we don't start seeing kids participate. Archery, I got 76 students. And they're shooting sometimes 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Am I right, Jen?
Yeah, Monday night at 8:30.
Yeah. Because that's the only time they can get space. Youth girls basketball, grades 3 through 6, there's 44 girls. Youth boys basketball, age 3 through 6, there's 53 boys. When this place was built 15, 20 years ago, I don't think there was 3rd and 4th grade basketball, was there? No. Now we got that many. There's 4 teams each. That's 8 teams I need to find room to practice with, unless they want to combine spaces. We're running out of space, aren't we? Space or time? How about a community fitness center? I'm fighting real hard to get us a FEMA rating. Right now, Auburndale has no FEMA rating. Okay? You get a new fire engine, we're gonna hopefully get a FEMA rating. If we get a FEMA rating, FEMA will hopefully pay for 50% of a community center. If it costs $6 million, they'll pay for $3 million of it. That's worth pursuing, I think. Okay? A wrestling or archery shared space. They won't have to use it at the same time, but something bigger. So they don't get them out of the gyms, so we can still utilize the gyms for these things. Right? Auditorium, cafeteria, or cafetorium? Cafeteria is, at the high school is tiny. It's not functional. Is that an option? I'm just throwing these out, because I have no idea, but I'm looking down the road. I know what short-term is, we need to deal with the things that are 25 and 30 years old to push us to the next level. I think if you could handle some of these things in the next 5 or 10 years, I think you could be set up for the next 20 years beyond that. I don't think you need any more facilities. You meet your music, your performing arts, wrestling, community fitness center, community room. I think you'd be set. So that's where I'm at. Fire away. Anything you wanna know? Now's the time to ask, yes.
The in-service time that we're planning, the
Yep.
Wednesday mornings, how does that compare then to those other districts? Like 4 hours a month that we're losing instruction, like how much in-service are they doing in Pittsville and Abbotsford? Are they doing it every week as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, they're every Wednesdays. In our times, we had, I believe minutes that would be equivalent to 4 extra snow days. I think with this new schedule, we would be down to 2 extra snow days. We would not have that flexibility.
You talk about like Abbotsford, how they like, that's how the malls are going off, how is their community support in that? 'Cause we go back to the idea of budget of making sure we keep bringing kids in, I guess I wanna make sure making changes doesn't send kids out, so I guess I'm just curious, has that been supported by the community?
When I talked to-
This morning, how they-
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Bargander, he said the community has been extremely supportive of it. But that's Abbotsford. Abbotsford's population is significantly different than ours. So I can't speak to that. I fully expect when this thing hits the public, I'm gonna get calls.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind, cause it's change. I mean, I remember when they closed the subway. That hurt. It's an inconvenience to me. When they closed the bank Saturday morning, that hurt. That's an inconvenience to me, right? Now you're telling me I can't normally go to school on Wednesday or drop my kids off at that normal time? That's an inconvenience to me. So I expect there's gonna be some pushback. Again, my response is, I can try something different. We can go to 4:30, but then that's gonna be an inconvenience to somebody. I can go 1 in-service day a week and we'll end school June 12th. That's gonna be an inconvenience to summer school, and it's gonna be an inconvenience to those kids that wanna get out and get jobs. Cause everybody else is gonna be out of school, but we're still here. Cause we've built in-service time to educate or to work together as a staff. If there's another plan, man, share it, cause I've been digging. I can't find it. Yeah.
I have a two-part question, so with these in-service days Wednesday morning, that takes away whatever, like 1 month Friday of professional work days now gone? That doesn't push us further to June.
What are you saying?
Like, we have those professional work days roughly once a month or once every other month. Are we keeping those?
I'm not familiar.
Like, professional development days?
No.
So those are gone,
Yeah.
we're just in this Wednesday morning, so
Yes.
it doesn't change our end
Correct,
date of
correct.
May 30th, June 1st, whatever
No,
it may be.
we're out June 4th, June 4th. And we looked at the calendar, even if you did do the late starts, there's no way we could've got out any earlier, cause the calendar is so tight. I mean, Scott, Sally, Michelle, I mean, do you wanna make any comments on that with that calendar?
It was pretty cut and dry. If you wanted to get out in June, it's tight. So we don't, it's better to do these early so that we don't put in these in-service days, because he's exactly right, we would be pushed to the middle of June.
You'd be doing 6 or 7 weeks in a row without a day off, if you wanted to get out any earlier.
In the proposed calendar, your longest you go is 23 days to start the year. And then I think there's a couple of 3-day weekends that we just kind of gave you a day off just to can enjoy the sunshine in May or April. Yes, Kate?
So what time can kids be dropped off on Wednesday, and what's the plan for?
8:15.
Okay.
Building will open
So they
8:15.
can't come in the building at 7:15 or 7:30?
1 hour later, no.
Okay, and how are they being monitored, and what's the plan with that, or what are we doing?
Right now, I believe Andy's working on that, but it's probably gonna be as we monitored in the past with aides.
So we wouldn't come in till 8:30 that day as well, or we would come in like?
If your normal day is 7:30, I mean, if you wanna come in at 7:30, I don't have a problem with that. Obviously be things that, if the job requires it, then that's fine. If your day is such that you need to adjust it and push it back, that's fine too. Again, that flexibility, I mean, we have flexibility with that. The part with the collaboration or the time when we have to be able to meet with staff to really dig into the curriculum, that's gotta be concrete, we gotta have that time. Yes?
So if you're gonna cover it with aides, special education aides are gonna be assigned to a special education, a special needs student. So the only aides that are left are Katie and I, so how many kids is that gonna be left for us to have to?
And again, I can't answer that question because we haven't pushed it out and got any feedback from the community yet, so. But the expectation again is gonna be that they aren't gonna be open till 8:15. So if they're dropping them off, if we need to, look at possibility, I know, Carrie Belante's got some early, some students doing, early childhood, whatever. If that's some of those students could come over and help, and be paid for that, I have no problem with that either. So, I mean, we've got some options, I wanna explore everything.
Currently at the high school, we are gonna doing our collaborative team meetings. Will we still plan to continue to do that during Eagle times, but we aren't, I guess I look at this as an additional opportunity to be.
Correct. This is gonna allow us to expand it, instead of just being 6-12, it's gonna give us a chance really to expand and go K-12 if we need to, especially if we're looking at reading and or math. It gives us a chance to have district meetings once a month if we really wanted to, or district meeting once every other month. That would be built in the day, not after the day. Any others? Any others? If you have specific questions, specific ones, send me an email. I'll try to make a round or stop up, see me, whatever. And again, I'm not gonna say I have all the answers. I'm working with Steve and I'm working with Andy to try to work out some of the details. I just know based upon those 4 items that I mentioned, we've got to find time to move forward. I told the community this morning, education, and you guys are all educators, if you stay where you're at and do the same thing year after year after year, you lose ground. You can't stay there. I feel as though we've been stuck in this rut. We haven't been able to move forward with curriculum. We haven't done anything to bring the buildings together and move forward as a district. It's the elementary and it's the secondary. It's not the school district of Auburndale. We need to start having meaningful conversations about what's going on down here and what's going on up there, so it's what's going on within our district. We can't do that with the schedule that we have. It's just not possible. Like I said, if you have any questions, whatever specifics, bring them to me and I'll try to answer them, or I'll forward them to Steve and Andy so they can address them. All right? If not, quarter after, thank you guys for staying this long, appreciate it.
Yes.